Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sit and Learn webinars. This is a webinar brought to you by Stand and Stretch. Today we're going to be talking about Twitter, which is one of my favorite social media websites. What we're going to be talking about today is how to use it for business and personal use. And this is our beginner version, which means that there's going to be an advanced version, which I'm highly anticipating because I'm going to include some cool stuff that's going to be in a participation level of anybody who has taken this webinar. So just want to get you guys, while people are still coming on board and signing up, we have a couple of things going on. You'll notice the interface has an ability to raise your hand. So I really like to point this out because sometimes I just say something like, if you're on a desktop computer, can you raise your hand? And you can click the button. And if you do that now, just click the raise your hand button, and I can actually see the attendance of people who are clicking the raise the hand. If you can't find it, it is around there somewhere. So there you go. I see people raising hands. Awesome. And I'm waving back at you, but you just can't see it. So thank you very much. Today is really just a fun webinar for me. I have 45 slides to go through, so this is a ton of information. I want to keep this just within the lunch hour, so I don't want to go over. If you feel free to ask some questions, and please do so. I want to start off just by kind of going into a poll. You'll notice that I have the poll markers in the middle of the page there. So this poll goes out to everybody, so you should see it pop up. How many of you have a Twitter account? So yes, no, not sure. Not sure how you would not surely know that you had a Twitter account, but it's just one of the options I selected. So it looks like we've got about 58% of the people that are putting in 75%. Okay, very good. I'm closing the polls right now. Okay, cool. So I'm going to share that with you guys so you can see. 91% of you have Twitter accounts. So now I know that there's only one of you or two of you that don't have a Twitter account. So that's okay. We're gonna help you along the way. Beginner usage means that you have a Twitter account. You might be thinking about getting a Twitter account. So we're just going to start our webinar. So thank you very much for participating. Now let's start with the webinar. So just a couple administration things right off the bat. My name is Lucas Schaefer. I am the speaker presenter today. You'll see here that my picture is on the screen. And also one of the organizers that we have today is Jamie. And she's online answering and fielding questions, and hopefully she can help out. So there we are. So there's two of us. Also wanted to bring up that we are part of Stand and Stretch. Sit and Learn webinar series is a product of Stand and Stretch, and we organize this to put together resources and knowledge resources for anybody who's looking to grow professionally in the online digital marketing arena. So Stand and Stretch is are one of our main sponsors. It's an interactive marketing agency specializing in web, mobile, social, advertising, and print. Check them out at standandstretch.com. Cool. And then we have one more. I'm so proud to announce that we have partnered with the Continuing Education Department of Columbus State. I'm very happy to say that we have found ourselves nestled into the spring catalog of their upcoming classes for people who are interested in continuing their education. Please learn more about them. They educate people of all ages and provide regional resources for personal and professional development. So columbusState.edu/CE. Cool people. Got to get to know them. So today we're going to be talking about Twitter. As you see up in the top right, there is a hashtag. It's hashtag Sit and Learn, which we will be discussing a hashtag and what that means. Here we are. We see the list of our intro. We're doing the introduction to Twitter. What is Twitter? Setting up Twitter, business or personal use, management or team, and then some team Q&A. If you guys have any questions or want to participate on that level, we can obviously do so. If you have any trouble along the way, just let us know with a question. And you have trouble hearing us, we're going too fast. Can we explain that again? These are all common feedback items. So just as you'll see here on the bottom of this page, I'm going to sort of use stats in a different way during this webinar. I'm going to sprinkle them in, so we have a little bit of the fun stuff wrapped around some what I would say some boring stuff about Twitter. So the average Twitter user has tweeted 307 times. Now this came from a report that was done about Twitter's overall use, every single user taken from an average. I have probably tweeted over 25,000 times since I've started my Twitter account, and you can actually see that that would be a low number for most of us. Possibly 307 times is the first day, the first month that we had our Twitter account. Moving right along, so I want to share our thoughts with others using Twitter. That there are 175 million tweets sent every day throughout 2012. 32% of all internet users are using Twitter. So if we're looking for the internet demographic, so if you're a business looking for the people who are on the internet, you know that Twitter might be an opportunity. 1 out of every 3 people, that are using the internet, 1 out of every 3 internet users are using Twitter as well. I love this. 50% of Twitter users are using social networks via mobile. So you can see there I have a very clear picture of an old BlackBerry, just because I thought that was a great picture. I stole it, so it's okay. But 34% of marketers have generated leads using Twitter. So that's a great way to start thinking about Twitter. So are we looking to reach a demographic? Are we looking to find the information through a mobile device? Are we looking to generate traffic for our marketing purposes? So a lot of those questions we're going to answer and we're going to talk about. One of the greatest things I like about Twitter is the fact that it's the first time, and I think in our culture, in our entire history, that we've had the opportunity to listen in to other people's conversations without being in the same room. Literally eavesdropping in some conversation that's happening in California or Oklahoma. So you can see here, I love this little picture of this guy because this is exactly how I feel when I'm researching and listening to competitors, listening to active brands, looking for key terms in our area. And, you know, we can see you, and then you can see us. So I love the fact that there is a public nature, a transparency to Twitter. There is a subset of the Twitter user that is private, so we can't see you, and you can't see, you know. So if it's public or private, you get the picture. So it's just something that we should be clearly aware of. This old screenshot of Twitter, I liked it because it really showed a representation of the entire world. 27% of the Twitter users are actually in the United States, which leaves a good sizable amount that aren't in the United States or aren't using pieces of the Twitter environment. But as you see here, if you're not using Twitter to first listen and connect, there are some things we're going to talk about, some overall strategy for Twitter. I want to teach you today how to be a good listener. One of the biggest things that comes across in an initial conversation about Twitter is they go, Lucas, I created a Twitter account and then I didn't know what to do. I had 0 followers. Why even tweet? Why did I say anything if nobody's going to be listening? Well, I'm going to show you why it's more important to learn how to listen with using Twitter than it is to tweet. So, as again, it's the first time a business of any size has had the ability to listen into conversations about their product and service. And now I want to try to see if I can look ahead here for a second. Hang on. Okay, so let me explain a little bit more about how a business uses Twitter to listen. So you have Coca-Cola out there right now who is archiving Twitter data. I mean, they are just storing mounds and mounds of tweets. So we have 140 characters of a precise statement. This is not a blog post that you can go on and rant about anything in a very verbose manner. This is Twitter. You have 140 characters to say exactly what you mean exactly right now. So you simply go, you know, I like Diet Coke and hot dogs. You know, bam. You just said some key phrases there. I like, that's an important semantic value. You also said Diet Coke, and then you like hot dogs. So if we break apart this precise statement of 140 characters, a business of any size can listen to this conversation. And if you sell hot dogs, you jump right in. But if you're Coca-Cola, Diet Coke and the semantic value of like becomes a marketing data analytic that they can use for free market research. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as we move along. But basically, Coca-Cola is siloing mounds and mounds and millions of tweets a day that talk about their products and how are they engaging those users, how are they looking at that data and making marketing decisions. I mean, what if you found out that a product that you provide, a service that you provide, is getting, what if everybody said, I hate Diet Coke. I don't like the way Diet Coke's looks. I don't like this. So how do you take all that free marketing research and mold a product that everybody becomes a positive remark? I love the new Diet Coke. I love the new design for the cans. I love the fact that the bottles have a new eco-friendly size and shape. So you can see how we can mold a few things into that. Going right into the next slide, I want to talk some more about just some basic Twitter stuff. So what is Twitter? Understanding the tweet. So one of the things I like to talk about is there's a value that can be provided to a business, but in the words of Chris Brogan, a guy that I use for a lot of the knowledge points and research in my early days of blogging, I really kind of got some useful communication ideas. Send a short message to a bunch of people publicly, to a specific person publicly, and then a short message to a specific person privately. So this has created a new sort of terminology called microblogging, which means that you're actually just sending miniature pieces of information that can be archived in a historical manner. So for example, if I tweet, you might only see that in your newsfeed for just a few moments, but in a separate category, you can go back to my Twitter page, my landing page, my profile page, and see all of my tweets that I've tweeted in the entire history of my account. Now I know that Twitter.com actually has a archive rate of 30 to 60 days, so you can't see all the way back to like my first tweet in some cases. But I do know that they've allowed you now to download your actual entire history in an XML file, which is pretty cool. I went back and looked at what my first tweet was. So backing up a little bit, Twitter receives 400 million visitors a month. So this Twitter.com is still, even at a rate of 400 million visitors, it is still less used than all of the mobile devices. So it's just some great information just about what Twitter is. So to get through the terminology, I want to bounce through this really quickly, and we're on slide like 5 out of 45, but the rest of them move rather quickly. So if you're going to follow somebody on Twitter, it's to subscribe to someone's updates. You can do that by clicking on their name and then get information from them directly in your main news feeds. Now there's opportunities to create lists which are separate from your main feed, and you can follow independent lists of people that you follow. So there's a couple of different directions for categorizing your friends, your brands that you follow, celebrities, all the way down the line. And then to follow back, so if I follow you and you follow me back, that means that you just followed my newsfeed, and I got a message, a notification that says, so-and-so is following you, Lucas. Well, I go back and say, all right, I'm following you too. I want to follow back. So that was a common phrase. So we talk about people who are getting your information as followers. So, in Facebook we have friends, and a business-oriented name for that is likes. We don't even have a personified name for it. It's just likes for people who are part of a business page. You have the update and tweet, which is your 140 characters of what you're wanting to say. There are different kinds of updates, so that kind of goes into the next layer. There's a reply update or a reply tweet, which is a public message sent to the Twitter user by putting the username anywhere in the body of the tweet. Most referred to as, or mostly you see this as the username being the first part of the tweet, which actually characterizes that tweet to only be seen by the friends and the people who follow that current username. So then there's a direct message. So this is a private message that can be sent from a Twitter user, but you both have to be following each other. For example, if somebody's not following me, I can't send them a direct message. So they say, hey, can we follow back, and so I can send you some private messaging. Otherwise, if we communicate outside of a direct message, you have public access to it. People can actually see it. So the DM is a private messaging process. Now the hashtag is something that is quite a the hashtag is something that I describe differently every single time we talk about it. Up in the top right corner, you see the hashtag sit and learn. Now this is cool because if you have Twitter right now, pull out your smartphone, your iPad, and type in a tweet, and you would put together some kind of content. You would say, having a great time listening to the Sit and Learn, which was a hashtag Sit and Learn, all scrunched together, no spaces, with Lucas Schaefer and learning about Twitter. So during this tweet, as long as it's 140 characters, you're categorizing it with a hashtag. So the Twitter tagging system is called a hashtag. It allows you to group conversational tweets together that usually would have no corresponding identifiers. So if we're all talking about how awesome the Sit and Learn webinar is, and we're not using something that can be a key phrase or something that could be original or unique to that conversation, then we're going to have a hard time tracking who's all in the conversation. So a great way to group that information together is to create a hashtag. Now the common question now is, who owns the hashtags? Do I have to buy a hashtag? Where are the hashtags created? Hashtags are free and open for anyone. The best advice I can give to you is, if you want to use a hashtag, go search for it on twitter.com first. Go to Twitter and say, hashtag my acronym, my key term, my phrase, and see how many people are out there already using it. In some live instances, we've used hashtags that actually showed not safe for work type activity. So you have to be very careful about your professional organization using unvetted hashtags. So please do a little bit of research before throwing out there. So Sit and Learn is obviously a really cool hashtag that wasn't used that often. So I like to think that Sit and Learn is actually providing us great hashtag usage, so that all of you people out there right now on your Twitter devices are commenting about us, and you can see everybody else's by just clicking on the hashtag and grouping that information together. So it's really a cool concept. It's always the most controversial, for me, controversy around trying to explain this concept of a hashtag. Most of us didn't really, hashtag was the first instance of us knowing what the pound sign was. For everybody who knew this as a pound sign prior to calling it a hashtag, usually has the complication. So I know that's sort of an older demographic set. So anyway, so retweet is the opportunity for you to take a tweet from somebody who just put out a message, some type of content, and you can click a retweet, the RT button or the retweet button, and actually reproduce this out into Twitter without changing anything, or you can add your own text to it. So there's two preferences to doing it, but retweet is a common phrase. And please retweet my comment about this blog post, or retweet my contest about this, or please retweet this and share with as many people as possible to try to get people to like and follow, or do whatever the action term is, the marketing response. So here is one last little look at the anatomy of a Twitter post. This is what a feed sort of looks like. I want to take note, just kind of starting on the top left. Twitter is a great way to disseminate fresh content. So you see here, HubSpot is releasing a new blog post that, they're doing great with their awards, and this is good. It's got a link in it. I love it. Here's an example of a reply. You can see Mark Cronus, ROI for what specifically. So there's a conversation going on between this guy and our company. You can also see that their hashtag is being used here. Enter hashtag Boston, hashtag startup seen by joining us at HubSpot for TEDx Boston Adventure. So really there's 3 different points of aggregation, 3 different groupings happening. So this tweet has now become a group, a part of the group Boston, hashtag Boston. It's become it's been aligned with another group called hashtag Startup, and then hashtag TEDx Boston. So you can see the hashtag being used there to create commonalities in content that usually has no other matching source. And then you can see the use of a shortened URL, and HubSpot's CRM puts out some information that looks and shortens it. If you only have 140 characters, then you should not link to your website and call it, http //standandstretch.com/my cool landing page for Twitter. I mean, I think that was 140 characters all in one. So you can see why using a shortened URL allows you to use more information. Just a good opportunity. So now that we're past all of that, let's talk about some fun stuff, right? I think This is a great example of the way I actually felt when I was going through all that information. I wanted to give you guys the framework for Twitter. I wanted to make sure that if I said anything over the next 20, 30, 40 minutes that you could identify with something prior in the presentation. And I really love uses of graphics like this because it kind of puts us into, back into it. I feel like now I can actually start doing some cool stuff again. So here's another poll here. I want to talk about getting right into Twitter and business, and the poll is simple. It is basically, do you have a business and personal Twitter account? So what are we saying here? I know at some point Lucas L. Schaefer was my personal, but I started talking about way too much business stuff. So what happened was the followers who wanted to deal with Lucas Schaefer were like, dude, you got to stop posting all this business stuff. I'm not going to follow you. I'm about to unfollow you. Well, then it came to the point where I wanted to go through and say, well, let me just set up a business account too. So this is a necessary item to working with the next phase of our webinar. So as you can see here, this is a great sort of mix of content. We got some people who don't probably just have a personal or maybe just a business. So we have to talk about all these properties of business and personal. So I'm diving into all of them. So thank you for participating in the poll. Good information there. So bouncing right into it, and I think I left off the stat there. I love this. Since the dawn of Twitter, there's been a total of 163 billion tweets. That's just crazy. I know. So what's the first things? First things first. Company account, personal account. So I'm just going to walk through some of this stuff. It's very simple. So the company account should represent the company as a whole. You want to keep your customer base up to date, promote recent blog posts, any type of news aggregation content going out. You want to update your consumers on your products. This could be recalls. It could be damage control. It could be, one of the first Twitter cases I ever read about customer service through Twitter was the Comcast Cares account. So in 2008, Comcast was known as one of the worst customer service companies ever. Somebody had the brilliant idea of being a great listener on Twitter and created an account called Comcast Cares. And when people would simply be out there publicly announcing Comcast is a horrible company, this Twitter account would attach itself and say, whoa, what's going on? How can we help you? Why are you not being, why are you not getting the service you need? How can we help? So there's this great backup there. Giving real-time updates at conferences and events, as we saw some of those HubSpot. Boston TEDx was an event that was going on. And then customer service and support. Now also, another great feature of this is acting as a liaison for the public, to the public for your company. So you can be an ambassador for your own company, right? Lucas L. Schaefer is an ambassador for Stand and Stretch. Update people on what we're working on. So maybe I need a little bit more transparency for our brand. I want everybody at the Stand and Stretch team to have a personal Twitter account, because then we can retweet and make them a part of the culture that we live in the Twitter sphere, and that helps. And sharing tidbits of our personality is a big key. This allows us to expand our company's network and make those personal connections that are really making a difference between how people perceive and look at Stand and Stretch. One of the differentiators I like to think about when we talk about Twitter is we are very transparent. You can contact anybody here almost immediately. Now, with our current workflow, it might take you a moment to get something out of us, but we are very approachable and very easy to talk to. So a lot of us already have Twitter accounts, but when you're thinking about stuff for your business, and you're thinking about getting those dual accounts set up, these are some quick ideas. Ideas for Twitter usernames: using your full name. I love the fact that Lucas L. Schaefer was available. Obviously, it's a very sort of unique name, and my middle initial is a differentiator from other Lucas Schaefers. But one of the greatest things about doing a Twitter name and being so early to adopt it was that I went through and just locked everything down for Lucas L. Schaefer. So I got Lucas L. Schaefer at Gmail, lucaslschaefer.com, facebook.com/Lucas L. Schaefer. So then it became a part of my major branding. Lucas L. Schaefer is actually a part of the logo that I do for my personal page. So Lucas L. Schaefer is actually an entire entity, and why not have the Twitter name match that? So if you have a long company name, then there's obviously some issues we'll address here. But using a variation of your name could be a simple fix. You know, a combination of your company and your name. You know, we have stand and stretch, and a lot of people don't know that the capital A is a part of our branding, so it's stand and with a capital A, stretch, and that's the way that our name looks like on Twitter, and a combination of your name and industry. Very, very simple stuff. So a couple of things that you want to do when creating it, making your name as close as possible for people to recognize you offline. You know, one of the examples that are coming up is like using like a name like Tiger Man, you know, and then showing up like, hey, that's Tiger Man, you know, and that really has kind of a thing. So use your real name if possible, or something that looks authentic, something that is you. If you're representing your company, make sure use a third option, which is the combination of your name and your company. You don't have to feel obligated to do this. I see this sometimes in big, large corporations. You know, for one example, Bronto is a great email marketing software solution. And what they do is, you know, we have people that work for Bronto that are expected to have Twitter accounts, but they don't want their personal ones to blend in. So they actually create a professional persona, like Bronto Caroline. I'm very, very, I communicate with Caroline over at Bronto, and she has Bronto at Bronto Caroline. So don't feel obligated to do it, but the idea is that you can continue to create multiple personas. So like I mentioned, don't make your Twitter handle something completely random, like Tiger Man. You know, I don't know. Maybe you are an Auburn fan. That's completely okay. Auburn football is okay. I get it. Is that branding you as an Auburn fan or an advocate for tigers when it comes to wildlife associations? You know, are you going after, or do you own a tiger? You know, I just got lost in 3 different ideas about who you are through what your name is. And, you know, the uses of numbers, while it is such an AOL thing, you know, I remember putting 1, 2, 3 on just about every name that I ever had up until a certain point. There is some ways, and I think some of the research pointed that it looks juvenile. I mean, it's not a big deal. I know I put numbers in almost everything that I do when it comes to everything but a Twitter account. But when it comes to like passwords and when you're putting together information, and there is an opportunity for you to put other things in numbers. You know, like I know it's probably okay to do an iteration of like if Joanne 1 or Joanne 2, but then you have a little loss. There's a loss of professionalism when it comes to, well, somebody might not remember to put the number on the end, the tail end, and it's not a big deal. It's just something I saw that would come up, and it's a reflection of an old school AOL chat room days, and probably half the people know what we're talking about. Don't use an underscore. I use underscores, but it won't hurt you. But be aware this generally is never done, and it's a risk and not a part of the social norms. Some people mostly forget to just put them in so it's always tough to use that as a mnemonic device. Hey, go to filmaholics.net _ I'm sorry, I said that completely wrong. Go to filmaholics_net. And that's literally one of our Twitter accounts. Filmaholics.net is a sort of a podcast we do about films, but the idea is we have an underscore in it. And if I could go back, I would try to not to do it. But Filmaholics _net is our Twitter account, and it's too late now, so we're leaving it. It won't hurt us. So personalize your profile. Lots of businesses pay us to personalize their profile just so their branding's part of that arena. You know, it's important to have this because people want to connect with you. They need to know a little bit more information. You know, the creepy factor happens. You follow somebody, they come back, and your picture is a picture of the clown from the It Stephen King movie, right? That's a little creepy. I don't want Stephen King It guy following me on Twitter. So use an approachable thing. If you're using it as a professional persona, add some information that helps. And then also create the bio section. So don't just start tweeting just yet. I think one of the things that we need to do is find people to follow and see what they're doing. Who's in your market? Who's the person that you're a colleague with? What are they doing? Listen before you talk. And I think that's just a good general life rule. But don't follow too many people at once. So what happens is every social networking site has a throttle. And this throttle says, hey, you can't follow more than 2,000 people until you have 2,000 people who follow you. And they have an algorithm that's taking place that says, you just followed 50 people in the past 5 minutes. We're going to turn that off for 24 hours. So literally, Facebook does it, Twitter does it, LinkedIn does it. All the big social media sites say that, and really it's built to help you. The reason why it's there is so that you don't have spam companies going out there following millions of people just to get the attention and that email in your inbox that says, Tiger Man just followed you, and here's a link to buying porcelain Tiger Man from an overseas company, and then next thing you know, you're involved with spam and everything. So Twitter is trying to protect you. Don't follow 100 people at once and remove all who don't follow you back. So the idea is you just keep following people until 10% follow you back, then you remove who didn't follow you back, and you continue to grow your list by doing those types of tactics. So what's next? All types of tweets. So what are we talking about when we're tweeting? What are we doing? What do we want to do? So this is very bland. We talked about the Coca-Cola incident where I love Diet Coke and hot dogs. I mean, what's not better than Diet Coke and hot dogs? So that's sort of an observation, right? So we're looking at even at the point of Coca-Cola being a business wants to know that information. That's an observation about their product. What you're reading, and these are all just great ideas. It doesn't have to be what you actually talk about. What are you reading? What kind of blog post did you just see the tweet button on this wonderful blog post and you shared it out and you shared some love? You know how great that makes people that write blogs feel. I know how good I feel when I see that there's been 17 tweets of a blog post that I just wrote an hour ago. So it's all really cool. What are you watching? Are you watching a cool YouTube video or something on Hulu? What events are you attending? That's a big one. That's a big one. Your content. So how are you sharing out your content, someone else's content? Are you having dialogue with someone? A lot of robots are out there right now. A lot of auto posting. A lot of things are out there that are causing the chat to be a little bit less fun than on Facebook, for example, which is built around communicating. I think Twitter is built around syndicating information. Just my own personal opinion. Retweet someone else who's tweeted you. So there's that type of tweet. The retweet is obviously a type of tweet. So that's all good news. So of course, tweeting, creating your first tweet. I'm ready. I think #excited, #scared. This is like the first tweet. Right? Who are you talking to? You have 0 followers. What's going on? Why are you really just getting interested in some of the setup of this? And then you're just ready to go. What's happening? I am ready. I'm ready to get out there. So big thing here. I'm going to try to switch around on my computer. I had a little something happen, and I hope I don't lose everybody. No, that's perfect. Oh, okay. Let me back up here. I got it. So this is just the beginning, and I think I gave you a little preview of the next slide. I'll just go ahead and go to it. So Twitter for business. So we just talked about setting up for business for personal, setting up for for Twitter for personal and Twitter for business. And now we're diving right into Twitter for business, which is great. This is where the fun happens. Personal usages are, I like Diet Coke and hot dogs. That's pretty much it. The dialogue, the communication, the following, the observations, the listening. It's all a part of a structured personality that you can create. When we talk about business, it's very interesting to note some of these facts that we're going to walk through here. One of the key things here is 56% of customer tweets to companies are being ignored. Do you know when somebody mentions you on Twitter? I mean, that's the question. Do you have an email alert set up to notify you when somebody tweets? Do you have an aggregate service that tells you a few things? Well, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about the internet marketing cycle, the online marketing cycle, to kind of prime us for what the expectations for social media and specifically Twitter is for a lot of our information. So if you're not looking, I want you guys to take a look at this because I use this a lot. This is actually old 2011 data. As you know, we're in 2013. But this is just a great HubSpot resource. The State of Inbound Marketing Report is something they release every year. But they've never done it just quite like this. So out of 644 professionals who are familiar with their business marketing strategy, so there's people that sometimes they don't know, their professionals included marketers, business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives of various size companies. So they said, what were the worst things you did in marketing last year, which would have been 2010, right? 2011, maybe early 2011. Well, they just had all these great names. And so when we're talking about the online marketing cycle, what do you see in here that deals with online? A couple of pieces, but really, honestly, I see email and website are over there. But a lot of this is traditional marketing opportunities. So of course, I had to follow up with, the best things that they did. Now this is the information they provided us. So this is really great because all of this is like online. I mean, everything I see here, networking, blogging, Facebook, Twitter, website, email, social media, right across the big middle part. And then in the very small areas, you can see some of the traditional stuff. So best things still include some of that direct. I don't think you can have a successful marketing campaign and not include some traditional and some non-traditional, not these days, mobile and static, and the combination of everything. For example, what we're doing for Thunder in the Valley this year, it's a great example of how to go after full-on marketing branding with mobile, web. We're doing SMS texting, so we're getting in there with SMS texting. It's pretty cool stuff. But I want you guys to see that because the next slide I get into is a little conversation that I have with just about every business is what are we putting in place to increase the value of our investment when it comes to online marketing. So we've got to remember that social media is but one element in the entire cycle. So what that means is we're actually looking at 3 independent stages of what a person means to us online. So one user comes in the left side of the cycle and provides information all the way through, and you can see right there in one third of this entire cycle there is social media. So Twitter falls into that area, and while I'm continuing to go on, I just want to launch a poll here. One of the important things to do, and I want to talk about this, is do you optimize your tweets for mobile? And the example here is if we're looking at this get found model, social media is about pushing content out into the Twitter sphere that says, hey, here is something. And if we know that Twitter is being seen from 80% mobile devices and not from a desktop browser, then we should be optimizing our tweets so that mobile opportunities can happen. So just as we have a lot of people that are going through here, about 44% have voted, 50%. You guys put in those polls, and we'll take a look at it. So I'll go ahead and close it now. We'll take a look, and we'll get back to my graph. But so one of the biggest ideas behind tweets are most of this information happens from a mobile impact standpoint. So a tweet goes out. Usually the phone vibrates, very similar to the behavior from a text message. So you get a mention. And what's more important than you getting a mention on one of the biggest social media websites in the world? Maybe a text from your wife to get milk. That's about it. Milk, a mention on Twitter. That's the same level in my monitoring and rapid response arena for me. So you can see here that not a lot of us are thinking about mobile, while some of us are not sure, and a good portion of us are yes, we're optimizing. I think that's wonderful. So when you look at this this track together that they have here, the get found, the putting out of content, this SEO, the blogging, the social media, which is the Twitter post, we have to worry about where we're sending them to that middle part, the convert part, the conversion of the tweet. If you're sending out a tweet that sends people back to a mobile email list, how many people filled out the email list? If you're sending it out because you just had a new arrival at your boutique and it's a new cool clothing item, how many people made a sale? How are we looking at that? So you have these mobile opportunities through Twitter. I'd say that 80% of the, I think I mentioned this already, but 80% of people who are using Twitter are using their mobile phones. I think it was one of our first stats in the presentation. So the key part to that is the third step of this. How are you analyzing that? Your marketing analytics are being compared to how many tweets, how many followers, how many people clicked the link, how many people converted. So then we talk about how we score those leads. Is Twitter providing a high quality lead? Is there some opportunity for you to increase the amount of interaction by optimizing a mobile landing page? Imagine this instance right now. iPhone has a very interesting browser, Safari, on most iPhones, and it thinks that it's a desktop browser. And it's a dirty shame, but sometimes when you optimize something for mobile, you still get the regular desktop version of websites. Anybody get that happening by raise of hands? Anybody know what I'm talking about? Now, even if your site's optimized for mobile, you still have the problem with people saying, hey, you're showing the desktop version. So one of the ideas is how are we making sure that we're optimizing on all devices, Android, iPhone, now we're doing the new mobile for Windows, so how are we putting those pieces together and qualifying all of our information across the board? Okay, so that's enough of the online marketing cycle. A little bit of information here too. When you look at those same businesses who put in this information, this is what they found were the most critical parts. I use this graph to talk to people about how important it is to blog, because without the blog, there usually is no content to go out into these social media spaces. And I have a graph coming up in just a minute talking about how social media is sort of like the provider, the vehicle for content, and the blog provides the content unless you're going to be sharing out the same static landing page for your one individual service. I would much rather see your blog post than your service page. So that's a great way to look. Look where Twitter falls into this as far as critical, as far as important. It's still as important and useful, but it's just not as critical as some of the others. So good information. So now it's time to plant some great ideas. The next sort of subset of information we're going to talk about are some marketing strategies based around this. And let me just check my time real quick. So it's 12:43. We got 17 minutes to run through 16 more slides. I think I can do it if I do it quickly, and and I don't get into my little sidebars. So this is great because I'm talking about Twitter for Business, and there's 4 major components, and I love this. So read for a second. I'll take a sip of water. So we talked about a lot of the uses: customer service, lead generation, marketing, and public relations. I'm going to walk through. I have an independent slide for each one of these, so let's just take a moment. So marketing, Twitter for Business for marketing, this is great because by tweeting about useful resources and thoughtful tips, you and your company will eventually develop thought leadership, which is great because people tend to lean into you for their information about an industry-specific market. Guy Kawasaki built a entire thought leadership fire hose of social media information. You follow him and you got an onslaught of robot and auto tweets of nothing but very valuable information. So you can drive people to your website. You can monitor your brand on Twitter, which is great. You need to have that damage control. You need to know who's talking about what when you're online. You have the use of Twitter to promote events, webinars like ours today, promote new tools, the thought leadership, and then also third-party platforms are great to work with marketing. We'll talk about one of those coming up. Lead generation. This is great. I love the funnel. I'm not a marketing student, but I feel like I am a marketing I'm an amateur at marketing basically, and I love the funnel analogy. So if I can put more people on top of the funnel and build a better tool, like a better website, or a better mobile optimized landing page, or a better tool than the competitor, then we win, right? That's it. You put more people on top of the filter. So Twitter helps us put those people into that funnel, and then we get a dedicated Twitter landing page. So if we have information that's going out to Twitter, we make sure that it's mobile optimized, right? Tweeting to landing pages specific that are on our website, monitoring industry terms. This is great because you want to keep up with Twitter search and how do you find people that are talking about your things that you want to do, and we'll walk through that. Participating in Twitter chats and connecting your blog on Twitter. So it's simple. That's simple. Public relations. So sometimes people don't know that you can actually reach out to people close. If one of the biggest question marks around anybody in sales and marketing was they had this old gatekeeper, right? They had the person who was actually answering phones for the sales and VP or the marketing VP. So they would say, "Hi, Lucas, thanks for calling such and such business." And you go, "Hi, I need to talk to the person in charge that makes the buying decisions." And they say, "Yes, that person has your message, but they'll get back to you as soon as they can." And then the day's over, right? What do? Well, now with Twitter, you find their Twitter account, you blow them up. You're like, "Hey, let's do some business. I see pictures of you on your, at your business, and you guys are doing some cool stuff. I want to work with you." So it's a great idea that also works backwards. Anybody who's writing content, reporters, and hopefully you read through most of that information there. So 40% of Twitter users don't tweet every month, but watch others tweet, which is going to get into the main part of our focus today. I want to leave you with some education tools, so you can see that you can follow up with this back on our YouTube. I'm going to kind of push a little bit. Customer service. So like I mentioned, there's the Comcast report from 2008. They actually won a customer service award, an industry-specific award for customer service 2 years later for pretty much turning their entire semantic value on the web over from a negative to a positive. So you can see how communicating about your product is probably a Coca-Cola sized business deal, but you need to know that that is available. People are in the area right now talking about things that are in your market, and you need to be communicating with them about it. So this is the idea behind Twitter, and this is the idea behind getting everybody up to date with your information. I love this. I'm not really big on what the comment says, but each one of these little things, I think they're like tweets, right? So I think they're like blog posts. You know, there's their Facebook status updates, and I'm giving people valuable items, and they're keeping them, and they're using them to make an overall decision about something. And in this instance, these people are using dollar bills as the value when I would relate that to a tweet or a Facebook status or a mobile landing page or something that gets them a little bit closer to the deal. And we're just sitting back and just relaxing inside of our cool social media hub. Very, very thought-provoking. You know, I don't suggest taking money and laying it out there in the street. So don't do that. So 40% of Twitterers are watching others. So this next poll, short and simple. You know, it's kind of maybe it's how often do you think you should tweet? So this is a great question. Advanced tactics for Twitter. You'll see that there is a how often do you think you should tweet? I mean, once an hour, once a day, once a month. I know what an industry specific result is. I know what my Lucas Schaefer result is, and it's literally every time I eat a sandwich. So that's out there. Hopefully somebody, yeah, there we go. Thank you, whoever that was. I appreciate that. So I don't have anything to say. I see somebody has nothing to say. That's great. So a little bit over half, about 3/4 people are responding. This is pretty cool information. You know, so I have only one guess who is the person who tweets every time there is a sandwich. But I don't have anything to say. That's cool too. So basically, they say that 23 times a day, which is roughly once an hour, you should be tweeting. You know, who has the time to do that? You know, nobody, right? So how do you create these opportunities to continually put yourself into the news feed of a Twitter follower? That is the idea. Once a day is probably a minimum. At least everybody here should be going to their Facebook page. Go to facebook.com/Twitter and hook up your Twitter account to your Facebook page. And it's an amazing thing how you can post to Facebook and have it disseminate information down to Twitter automatically. So that, again, is facebook.com/Twitter. Easy. Do it now. Not right now. Do it in just a minute. So here is one of my favorite things to talk about during our Twitter. So you have to pay attention to this. This is the last little push. We're on slide 37, so I know that there's probably 4 or 5 slides here that are related to this webinar and then some internal stuff. But so the advanced tactic that I want to show live, but I'm almost afraid to because I don't know what's going to come up. So I'm going to stick to my slideshow. So everybody today, what you need to do is pull out a piece of paper and write down this couple of things that I asked you to write down, and then follow up after the webinar and do this immediately. So go to search.twitter.com. When we're done, go to search.twitter.com, and what we're going to do is we're going to look at the advanced search. So it kind of looks like this, but what you're going to do is you're going to click on that advanced search underneath it, and you're going to go to a page that looks sort of like this. So in our advanced search area, we're literally going to be able to use a key phrase, and in this instance we're using food, and we're going to be able to search around publicly sent tweets that are geographically located 15 miles within the distance of Columbus, Georgia. So what does this mean? This means that everybody within a 15-mile radius of Columbus, Georgia that is talking about food or using the term food is going to pop up in my search results. So let's just ask, I want to ask this question to anybody that is a restaurant owner that's a part of this or struggles with the same question that I'm actually going through my head right now. Every single day, people take to Twitter universe and ask a very simple question. Usually happens about 11 a.m., 11:30. Anybody raise their hand, know what question this is? It's simple. It's what's for lunch. So if you're a business and you're thinking to yourself, well, I have to get butts and seats. I got to get people in my business. Well, you can come out here and simply type in search. I'm sorry. Don't type in search. That's not good. Type in lunch. So you're looking for everybody talking about lunch at this moment, right now, in Columbus, Georgia, 15 miles around us. So the cool part is you get some great feedback. So through all these billion tweets every 5 days, one of the things that turned up in this search that I did in the past, so it's safe for work, it didn't come up because sometimes you'll have some trash. And I'll tell you, if your search term is anything ambiguous with any kind of industry that might not be very specific, you probably will show some trash in here. And what I mean by trash is like static. 1 out of every 10 tweets might be geographically incorrect or just not what you're looking for. But this came back to me, and I reuse this because it is pretty cool. The first thing that you see is that when I look for people talking about food around Columbus, Georgia, is that there is a kid over at Kendrick High School, which is a local high school in Columbus, Georgia, that a food fight is in progress. And when I did this, it was 2 hours ago, so it was after lunch a little bit. But he's sitting there tweeting. I just imagine this kid sitting at his lunch table, mashed potatoes flying over his head, and milk bottles just busting against the wall, and he's taking time to tweet, another food fight at Kendrick, nothing new. It's an amazing thought, right? It's pretty cool. With the most part, if I'm a food vendor, the second tweet is what I'm looking for. If I'm a restaurant that's trying to find people who are talking about food in general, this is one of a multitude of key terms that I searched today. And food turned out that Arts in the Park, which is an event that happens in Columbus, Georgia. Now I know that they're looking for food vendors, and my demographic is family and kids, and not college students or or whatever. I might want to get involved with this because I want people to know how friendly our business is for families. Arts in the Park is looking for vendors, and they want us to come check them out. Now, the third tweet gets into some of that person-to-person contact. This person is talking about potatoes. So if I'm a French fry manufacturer and this person loves potatoes, I'm going after them. We kind of go down the list, and you can see a couple of other things. You can see where Iron Chef is being talked about, Food Network, and somebody down right below our little comment there says, about to head home real quick and get some food. So you can see that using search.twitter.com and going to the advanced search, you can actually find key terms that are relevant to your business today, right now, as soon as the webinar is over. And I challenge every single one of you to do that. So that's great. So here's me. Okay, you found somebody that's talking about something that's relevant for you. If you're the restaurant and this person's talking about, I don't know what I'm going to get for lunch, boo-hoo, hashtag boo-hoo, and you're saying to yourself, well, what you ought to do is communicate with them. You reply to them, much like I'm doing here. I'm connecting to them, and I'm saying, Cam Ovek, save some for me, hashtag food fight. And of course he didn't reply because he's probably wondering what this creepy guy is talking about that's listening in to him talking about a food fight. And got to understand that there is some creepy nature to listening to other people's conversation. And how are you actually pulling in, information? How are you connecting is going to be a big deal. If somebody is out there saying, man, I don't know what's for lunch, it might be okay to say, look, I am with so-and-so restaurant, and if you mention this tweet, I'll give you 10% off your meal today. Get your butt in here. They have 140 characters. You might even send them a shortened URL link to the menu, right? Okay, so now you're getting it. So now you're getting that. Now we're learning how to listen, and we're learning how to contact, and we're learning how to generate links by providing them with some kind of clickable content. So I think that's where the most important part of Twitter comes from. But the biggest question is, but who has the time? I've estimated that while Twitter is one of my favorite social media sites, and I listen all the time, I actually wanted to show, if I had enough time, and I might still do it because it says I have 5 minutes left, but who has the time is a big key to Twitter, because if you don't have the setup properly, it can be the biggest time management fiasco that you have. You got your Facebook. You learn how to do it, okay, in the mornings, right around lunch, then maybe in the evenings before everybody goes home. So you got it. You understand Facebook. And LinkedIn, you're out there, you're trying to connect to professionals. You're trying to create the B2B atmosphere. And then Twitter, man, I'm tweeting, nothing's happening, but now I'm listening. So now I'm listening all the time, and now I'm trying to communicate all the time to people who I'm listening to. So one of the things that I mentioned I would say is that a software out there called Hootsuite is what I use, and if I got a second, I'll show you what I got going on. And then TweetDeck, which is just recently popped up in the newsfeed, I think 2 days ago, about Twitter discontinuing TweetDeck, which is concerning. A lot of people use TweetDeck, and I think actually Twitter bought it some time ago, but I'm glad that I stuck with Hootsuite. You know, it's a great tool. So you can actually link up your Facebook, Twitter, your Instagram, all kinds of cool stuff to Hootsuite. And then you know, I wanted to see if I can bounce out of this, and let's see if I can do something here. That probably wasn't the best thing to do. Okay. All right, so let's just move right into, yes, now we are ready. I love this picture. This is cool because I think this is what all of you are doing right now. That's what I'm actually picturing, and it's probably not true. Everybody's kind of like, okay, let's just wrap this up. So the wrap up here is very simple. We have one more poll, and it's very simple. I'm going to launch it. Will you subscribe to our YouTube channel? So you can see here that I'm giving you no opportunities to say no. So I thought that'd be fun. I'm going to go ahead and share that out. A lot of preferences on the yes there. Thank you very much. But please follow up with us. We post these back live. So if you missed anything, wanted to write something down or go back into it, my information is down at the bottom too. You can see there with the Lucas L. Schaefer at Stand and Stretch. Now again, you have the opportunity to get these emails. Every time we post a new thing, you'll get this nice little, neat little email. And again, we are Stand and Stretch. This is a Sit and Learn webinar, and I appreciate everybody for their patience and enduring the beginners Twitter webinar. So thank you guys so much for participating. I appreciate everything. Thanks. Goodbye.